Welcome back to the Transdemic podcast. Yes, we are still in a pandemic, so if you're trans identifying, you are, and you're transdemic, nothing has changed. People get murdered. Wildfires starting because of gender reveals. I don't know. Is it a balance of good and evil? What kind of wild reality are we living in? I don't even know. But we're here with Bentley again this week. No guests this week. Not a lot of questions, but we go on a few rants and we get into our usual existential crisis by the end of the episode. And I'm not going to do too much talking. I never like to bore you with that. This isn't the Mood House podcast. This is Transdemic. So let's get to Bentley and myself. I don't know. Now?
Good, just sore still. Like it's almost like the same. It just apparently gonna hurt for like months, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I watched the YouTube video and there are so many parts that I was, not to make fun of you, I was just laughing. I was just like, look how miserable this motherfucker is right now.
Right. Oh,
it was so sad. I was like, oh no.
Yes, my little sloth part. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yep.
I had to, at least now I can like put on my vest without looking pathetic. So that's something.
That's awesome. I mean, it's cool. It was funny because I had at the same time I was watching it. For some reason, Sean was there watching it too. So that was even funnier because Sean is just like blown away by what's going on.
Oh, that's funny.
It was good. It's good though. That's why those videos are good though, because like you said, it's cool to get that perspective, and it's really awesome for straight cis people to just watch it, and especially if you have a friend you could watch with. That's kind of cool too, like a trans friend, and you can kind of watch that with somebody. What a different understanding you're gonna get about trans people.
Yeah, and I've watched so many, so I tried to add stuff that like I hadn't seen in other videos before. So yeah. A lot of people still they'll like have their miserable like the day after, and then all of a sudden they're like magically fine, and it's like what? Like
yeah, you didn't show me all this pus and blood and the little sack and fucking whatever. What else did you show them? It was like a horror flick at certain part.
Yeah, from the drains I had for 6 days, and then the nipple bolster things, and then fucking the tape. You're supposed to wait for the tape to fall off, but mine never did. So after 2 weeks, I had to rip the tape off. And
shit!
Now I have scar treatments on 24 hours a day, like a silicone like strip of like silicone, I guess. I don't know.
You guess it must be silicone.
Yeah, it's the same stuff that they use for like C-section scars.
Weird.
Yeah,
that's exciting.
It is very exciting. So just 2.5 months until I can get my nipples pierced, and we're going. Yeah, counting down to that.
Well, that's a good goal to count down to. I don't have anything. I've been so busy with everything going on, but I didn't have anything to really discuss this week because we didn't get questions. There's a lot of stuff going on. I didn't have anything to discuss until probably, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes before I decided to be like, oh, do you want to talk now? Because we got to get this in, and we're doing it last minute. But I didn't really have much to talk about, but I was like reading up. I'm like behind. Again, I'm so busy. I knew about the gender reveal party thing, and I can't keep up with. I hear about shit happening all the time, so I just figured, this is just another like gender reveal mishap. And then I read like the magnitude of it, and I was like, good. And I don't want to see people get hurt, and I don't wish ill will on people, but like that. I mean, God damn it! It sucks that it's our Earth getting destroyed. But it's like kind of awesome that happened too. Not at any just for the mere fact that the gender reveal parties are so ridiculous.
Yeah, and like there's so many videos online of all of them just going wrong, even at like little levels. Like I saw one of this kid trying to pull the string on this box to like have balloons fly out, and the box landed on his head. And he was like a tiny little kid, and like there's always so many things going wrong with that stuff. So it does suck for the Earth, but at the same time, it's like, why are these even happening?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So I get off on it.
Did our parents do that too, or is this a newer thing? I don't know when this happened. I don't remember hearing that I had one of these.
I didn't have one. Parents do it in all sorts of ways, though, right? Like it's the reveal party is just like the whole show and pomp and circumstance. But like I feel like parents do that anyway. Like they champion your gender pretty early on, regardless of if they like publicly display. I think it became more of a public display recently, but I think there were like cakes and like, oh, I'm gonna buy these clothes at the fucking baby shower. There's a history of that shit happening. But I think it's more prevalent with like this public display and one-upsmanship because of like social media. Like, that's the only
Yeah,
reason.
I guess that makes sense. And all the videos on YouTube of them going wrong and stuff. So it's just like a lot of
Yeah,
whatever. But yeah, it's weird.
it's disgusting. It's because reveal parties nowadays are just so. I've just posted about this. There's so much more than gender. It's not about just take. I'm thinking of it like take the gender out of it. Parents that do that kind of thing. It's a huge vanity project most of the time because it's like all over social media. They're posting about it. So like it's that. But then also like it shows parents that are going to be more apt to put these expectations and projections on their kid, whether it's gender or not. You know that if they do that publicly, there's a whole subset of other expectations that they're going to have on the kid. And that to me is just a sad, limiting way to bring up a kid because I see it all the time with kids that I work with, and it's just sad to see those kind of walls go up.
Yeah, it's like you're this, you need to act like this, and it's super fucked up. Did you see that picture? It went viral like 2 weeks ago, maybe. It might have been older, but I saw it 2 weeks ago, and I had a bunch of friends sharing it with the mom and the 3 daughters like tied up with their hands on Christmas lights, and then they had like duct tape over their mouths, and then there was the dad and the one son, and they were like laughing that they had tied up all the girls. It was really weird.
That is really fucking weird. I haven't seen that. You got to link me.
I'll have to send it to you, but like, yeah, let me find it. But yeah, it's the dad and one kid that's like 2, and then all the other little girls are really small too. But yeah, they're all duct tape up and like hands tied with Christmas lights, and then the 2 boys are in the back like laughing, and it was just like, what?
That is so weird. See, I think there's also like, again, it's just like one-upsmanship. It's like trying to like do like crazy shit. For some reason, I guess gender reveal things became like a means of like making it like ridiculous. Obviously, I mean, to the point where we're gonna start lighting shit on fire on accident or not. Like, it's just getting. I don't know where this. It'd be interesting to go and research where this explosion of getting ridiculous with gender reveals happens, because I think it seems to coincide with like the push for, a lot of the back push for trans people. It kind of seems like it kind of mirrors that, like with our society, with our administration, and like, oh, gender is this, it's fixed, it's binary. It kind of feels like gender reveals kind of took off hand in hand with that, doesn't it?
Yeah, as far as I know, because I don't remember like hearing about it. Even my brother is 10 years younger than me, so I was involved with the Moms Club and shit, and I don't remember that kind of stuff going on even 10 years ago.
Yeah, especially not to this level.
Yeah, and I was around like so many kids and different families and stuff because like the Moms Club, so there's like 30 moms in the club, and then I babysat all of them, and they kept popping out babies, and I don't remember any like reveal parties like that at all. I remember like a casual baby shower, but even that, a lot of the times the moms were like keeping the gender like a secret until like the birth and stuff.
Yeah, that happens a lot too. It's God, it's so weird. But see, like I said though, even in those circumstances, there's still that gender thing, and I think that it's up to a lot of trans people or non-conforming, whatever you want to say, to kind of just be aware of that, because people think that in a lot of ways gender doesn't matter. To trans people, it's weird because we're stuck in that weird space where it does matter and then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it's like that weird relationship. Is it like that for you too? I'm sure it is.
Yeah, I feel weird about it too because I'm like on the binary. Yeah. So like there's even times where I get my feelings hurt when people are saying like everything should be like non-binary or whatever, like when they're like we need to kill the binary, but it's like then that like ruins my identity. I wish everybody could just be respected because I am on the binary side of things.
Yep, I feel the same way.
So it's so hard. I wish everybody could just be respected and it just be like, look, there's a spectrum, and if everybody could just respect the spectrum, and like these weird close-minded like hicks almost, if they could just get on board with like understanding some of their kids are going to end up trans or non-binary, and it's just like it's not it just happens, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know how to. I guess just maybe over time we address that, because there's no way. There's just no way. Obviously, talking and screaming about shit hasn't made a difference. But gender reveal stuff is it. I mean, I feel just as I guess conflicted all the time when I see that stuff. Obviously, it bothers me. But like, yeah, I get what you're saying about the non-conforming thing and kind of the non-binary thing. Just because I think we both you and I have had our own individual, I guess, similarity experience with that. Because there's like, you kind of feel, at least for me, it was like I was non-binary for a while, identifying because that's what it seemed like I fit. Because at the time, it's like, if I'm not representing what you want me to be in the binary, I guess I'm non-binary.
Yeah, no, and it's a whole thing, and it's confusing.
Yeah, it is. And then I was like thinking of like they, them, and like when people would say that, and I wasn't jiving with that. And I just felt, I don't know. I'm sure I think you could probably relate to that. I think we might have been in the similar trajectory for a while.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And I was trying to figure it out. And like, I think I've always known like deep down that I just identify as male, but I was like thinking like, maybe I'm not, and maybe I wanted like to test out those pronouns, but yeah, they just never for me fit. Like I never felt comfortable using them.
Yeah, they always felt weird.
The test, I was like, especially with like Kaylin and some closer friends, I was like, can you try this? Like try they and then try he, and like it's almost like an experiment. And some people are so scared to do that, but you have to just be okay to let your friends kind of call you things and figure out, like sometimes you just need to hear it from someone else to figure out what feels good.
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't know until you kind of feel it like that, which is, this is so hard to explain. I was trying to think like right now, like a cis person or someone that's not unfamiliar, because I feel like that's a bridge to gaps somehow. I'm always trying to think of how we can say things or flip things in a way that would make sense to people, because people will frame people like us sometimes as like, you know, they want to pigeonhole us and, oh, these are snowflakes, or this is some weird lingo they're talking about.
Yeah, and it's really not that weird. I mean, it's
not.
Like,
no.
And non-binary people are just as valid, and it sucks because in a way I almost feel bad that I'm thinking I was non-binary, but I was just experimenting and like trying to figure out what I was, and then I would hate to have someone think I'm like being disrespectful because I then was like, oh, never mind, I'm a dude. But it was kind of like a part of the transition for me to like figure out how, like, what I was, you know what I mean? Because like I always, you like know, but you don't know.
Yeah.
And, like even this, like someone that doesn't understand what's going on right now, like they wouldn't get what we're even saying. But like it's almost like part of my transition was to kind of be nothing for a while, and then go over the rainbow, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, because I'm trying to, as you say this, I get everything you're saying. I get 110%, even the point where you said people understand. And I'm trying to find a way right now in this moment to capture a way that people would be able to understand that. And I guess the only way I can come up with when I'm thinking about it is like, and this is this is going to be from our particular experience. So for trans people that are listening, and for people that aren't trans that are listening, we have to start with the fundamental rule that like no two trans people are the same.
Yes.
Most of the time. There are going to be, but people like you and or like us specifically, me, Bentley, like we have a lot of similarities in the way that we've experienced our transgender journeys. So we can really like navigate off that. And I'm sure there's a lot of trans people that can relate to this, but I just don't like to speak for everybody. But
yeah,
it's like, so with that understanding that everything's different for us, it was like we knew what we were since we could remember, probably, at least for me. I mean, even I really think like my earliest memories were like it's so weird because when I'm 3, I don't know how old I was. Who knows how old I was? I just remember, I don't remember the exact instance, but like if I think, I don't know if everybody can do this, but they think back to the first memory of your life. I don't know if everybody, can you do that? Can you think of your first memory?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so I can too. And it's weird because like the one that always comes up is like this one time I was like, I don't remember what the fuck. You just remember like patches. I just remember I was like stealing some little girl's shoes and trying to put them on or something.
Uh-huh.
You know, like when you're playing with friends, like in the back
Yeah.
room and you're like a baby or a kid and you're just like, I remember that. And I remember that vividly. That's like my first like memory. And I remember it was like, I feel like it was wrong to do even then. I like learned that at the same time of my first memory. Really odd, right? Like, do you have any memories like that? But I'm just saying like that when you go back after evolving in your life at however old you are as a trans person, there's so many little instances like that over your life that you kind of patchwork together and it all makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, some of my, not my absolute first memory, but a lot of my younger youth memories are me, one, wondering why I need like a swimsuit top when I'm like out in the little pool. And I grew up in St. Paul, so like you have those pools are tiny, like the $10 Walmart pools. But it was like, why do I have this like top on for one? And then I just remember doing weird stuff with my like Barbies and Ken dolls and just like cutting the girls' hair off and then getting in trouble because I cut all their hair off and I was like, no, they're supposed to look like this. And then I would put the Barbie with like no hair, and they don't look good when they don't have hair because it's not like it's a normal head. So like,
no, they're creepy,
missing, like pieces. But I would like cut the Barbie's hair off and then put the Ken's clothes on the Barbies.
That's hilarious.
And like just weird stuff like that now it's like, oh, okay. Like, and I'm not saying that every trans person does that or like you can be cis and do that, but that was like one of my things I remember, like just taking the clothes off the Kens and putting them on the Barbie dolls.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is fucking amazing. And but it's like there has to be like a number of things I guess you would do, and even then you could be. That's what's so funny is like
that doesn't like
Yeah, exactly. It's like only, and that's why I mean, like, it's only in our experiences based on what we know, how we've evolved, how we've grown, how we've learned, and who we are as people. We put all that together in our circumstances. That's what it meant, and it makes sense in that context. But you know, at the same time, and that's what's so fucking conflicting about being trans all the time is like we have this awareness that is beyond the binary. It is beyond the binary and beyond gender, but then we also like kind of like see ourselves in those roles. So this is very interesting. I don't know if that's like good or bad. Like, I don't know if that's because we're like, we have so much trauma around our gender that we have to like fight to like hold ourselves in these boxes in some way. And then, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's weird because like, even thinking about when I thought I was non-binary and stuff, like I still like, not that you have to, but like, I like makeup and I like painting my nails. My left hand is painted right now and my right hand isn't. I'm not really sure why. I just stopped painting them. But just like little weird things where it's like I do like a lot from both genders, but I still just see myself as a male because and it's so hard to say because like there's certain binaries that need to be broken in a way. Like I think there should be a spectrum, and like you're on the spectrum in my opinion somewhere. But like there shouldn't be these standards of I identify as a male, thus I can only do what society says a male can do.
Yeah.
That's the part that needs to be broken.
Yeah, and it needs to be broken and people need to have their space to explore that and not feel like, you know, because when you deviate from that, people are right away, especially as a guy in society, whatever that means, as a cis dude, whatever the fuck that is.
Right.
Like, you know, you don't, as soon as you start to deviate from that, you're ridiculed, saying blah, blah, and all the shit falls down. And then it's like, you know, you're encouraged not to go that way. So it's just, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with any of that, but it's tiring to deal with just any of these boxes, I guess. So I don't know.
Yeah, and it's hard to explain, but it's just like it's pretty simple. I don't get why people can't just respect it. It's like and I can't speak for anybody that is non-binary because I'm not, but it's like,
Yeah.
it's so annoying to me online when people are like, that doesn't even make sense. Like they is plural and stuff like that. It's like, one, no, it's not anymore. They changed it in the dictionary even. So
Yeah, and it was changed long before then. People were just
yeah,
idiots.
exactly. It's like, one, you're just being a dick. If someone wants that pronoun and that's who they are, just use it. Like you don't have to be disrespectful about it. Any of them. Like it just stop being disrespectful. It's not that hard. And
No.
it's really hard for me to, as much, I haven't been at work now, obviously, because my work has been closed, but how many times, I'm sure you have this too, like how many times after you came out, like months later, how you're still getting misgendered, and it's like, it's been months.
Yeah, welcome to my life.
It's been months. Yeah, and we had a non-binary person working there right before we shut down, and then my one boss was like, no, they're still okay with he, and it's like, no, they're not. They're not okay with that. And they're like, well, but they said, like, whatever their name. I was like, it doesn't matter what their name is. Their pronouns are they, them.
Yeah.
Like, just stop. Like, stop. So, like, then I was getting heated about that on top of my own stuff. And I'm more protective of, like, other people than myself. So I would be so upset about them getting misgendered. And then I would get misgendered and, like, snap. And I'm like, normally I wouldn't like, snap. But I'm already, like, on this other person. I'm like, please just be nice to them. And it was just, like, this whole, like, disaster of,
That's brutal.
Yeah.
That's brutal. Taking it on for other people is always hard. But yeah, I mean, it's
a struggle because I just want everyone to be like comfortable. So when other people are being disrespected, that's when I turn into like dad mode.
Yeah, no, you have to. I mean, I'd appreciate that, but because it's hard. It's trans people know that it takes a lot of either two things. It takes either a lot of courage or a lot of frustration to correct people. And you catch somebody on that wrong day and then, we snap.
Yeah. And then people are like, oh, geez. And it's like, well, but this is your like 50th time doing it. You just keep doing it. So like, what's going to work?
Yeah, I feel it. And I think it is like, it's for non-binary people. It's even harder because people aren't getting, I feel like a lot of times we're doing things just to get people social cues to kind of leave us alone the best we can. When you're non-binary, it's not as easy to do. Not that you're trying to do that, but I mean, it's not, you don't have, I mean, it really takes a special person to be able to see you, anybody, trans people, but specifically non-binary, and just default to they, them, which I do all the time to everybody nowadays. I pretty much always default to that.
Yeah, I do too, until I have time to like ask them, not giant group of people, because I'm not going to be like, yo, this room's full, what's your pronouns? Like, I'm not, I don't want to call someone out like that.
Well, and what's crazy is most of the time you don't need to use a pronoun when you're just interacting with people we don't know often.
Exactly. Yeah.
Doesn't really come up too much. But yeah, it's a fucking thing. I deal with it all day, every day, some shape or form, with work or meeting new people. Like I said, I have a revolving door of clients and stuff like that. So every day is always an adventure. And then it's fucking it's too much. It's too much. I got a call today, like right before we did this call. That was another thing that set me off for 2 seconds. It's not a big deal. It's really not. It's the same thing though. It's like, again, I say it all the time, like my relationship with my parents is great. Other than the whole trans thing. They always help out and all that shit, so like they make you feel bad. But the one place that they're not meeting me is, the most important emotional place, like we can't have a full relationship without at least the acknowledgement of what's going on. It's hard to share your day when the person on the phone doesn't have the proper lens, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
It's like, how can I tell you? I could tell you all the things about my day that are pretty mundane, but unless you realize who I am in my reality and the way that I live life, you can't really, it's hard to like understand where I'm coming from or to talk to me. And then some days I have like a rough day and then like I want to talk to my parents, or I'd be down to talk to my dad, but I don't want to deal with, the boys and the man talk all the time. But I can't even, then you bring it up and then you have a horrible day because it's going to be a blow up no matter how well you approach the situation. So that was what happened before we got on this call. It's like that. And I was like, oh, it sucks. Like, it's like wanting to talk to your parents, but knowing like what version of you are they going to be talking to? And can you deal with that on that particular day?
Yeah. And that sucks because it can really depend on the day.
Yeah. Sometimes it's, I can handle it. It's fine. And then some days it's like, if I hear one more fucked up misgenderic thing, I don't know if I could take it, you know?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It's hard. That's another thing. Like, I haven't seen my parents in months since May.
Yep.
And they want me to come visit, and it's just like, and I want to come up there anyways, but it's like at the same time, it's like, ooh,
you're coming up here.
And it's like, I know it'll be fine. Like, they love me, but it's still just like, I don't want to have to be in like defense mode.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, we can't, and it sounds like I can't, from what you've told me and the kind of the situation I'm in, it's like you can only have so much of a relationship with your parents, and that sucks because you still yearn to want more than that. And they're getting older, and it's like I'm sitting there saying like, I want to be a part of your lives and I want you to be a part of mine, but they can't understand that. And that's frustrating. And I can't get them to understand that. And then maybe there's some lack of understanding on my end. I try to do my best to understand from their perspective. And that's hard.
It's really hard because I'm like, if I had a kid, they could like, I'd be really upset if they ended up being like a murderer or something, but like anything else, like anything like normal, not like off the charts. You know what I mean? I'd be totally accepting regardless what they wanted to do,
Yeah.
Like, you need to respect women and don't kill anybody, and other than that, like, go for it.
That's brilliant. That's a low bar, but I guess, but like I said, speaking of the gender reveal parties earlier, like, parents, whether or not it's a gender thing, if they're into that kind of shit, typically tend to, if like my parents are holding on to this gender thing, but they also hold on to a lot of expectations that they would have for me that didn't work out. And it's like all these other things that we've accomplished and the stuff that you've seen us accomplish, to them, it feels as if means nothing, because unless it's like I'm making a shit ton of money, which is always the common thing with parents. Like, if you're going to get into art, unless you're making a shit ton of money, it's not real to them.
Yeah.
And it just sucks because it's like I'm so proud of the work that we've done with the Moody Black stuff and like the stuff that we're doing. Like, we came from nothing in AZ, where you're at, like, from nowhere to like touring the fucking world and fucking being in magazines and like creating this like this music that created its own scene that people, like, we have on paper like really cool things that we've done that a lot of people probably wouldn't do in their lifetime, and it just feels like that means nothing. That's wild. That's a hole that I'm trying to fill in some weird way. And then you add the gender part to that, and you could see like the parallels of a parent putting expectations on a kid. And that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally feel you. It's like, it's almost like parents are like, what part of your life can you do that's like quote unquote like normal? It's like, yeah, the same. It's like, I've been touring since I was 18, and then Snailmate's been touring full time for the last 5 years. And it just, none of it's like normal.
Yeah.
And in quotes, definitely in quotes, because to me it's completely normal, and I wouldn't change it for anything. But yeah, it's not what the boomers are looking for.
Yeah, not at all. And what are they looking for now? Because what America is there now? What, like, when you were a kid and I was a kid, even when you were a kid, because you're a little younger, like, the prospects for coming up in this country were completely different. Maybe they were the same, but the perception was that they were very different at the time, even up to like 5-10 years ago even. And like now it's like the prospect of what America is and what you could become and what you can make here. There's no future. It doesn't seem like there is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not at all. It's all, I don't know. That's terrifying to think about. That's like midlife crisis shit right there.
It is. But it's only the only reason you have to think about it now is because like the reality of it is in your face. Like before, that would be something that's maybe like a melancholy or like a philosophical thing. But
Uh-huh.
like if you look at like the trajectory of where we've been the last 4 years and how everything's dismantling, not just in the States, but across the country, like these weird things, like it does seem like at the very least there's a huge shift going on. So that's cool. I mean, it's kind of cool to live through shit like that. But yeah, so like it's not hypothetical anymore. I don't think. I think there's enough. Look at all the shit going on. It's very it's in our face now. It's not something that's like something we're just kind of anticipating.
Yeah,
It's weird.
exactly. It's pretty much affecting everybody, and if it's not affecting somebody, I think it's because they're just pretending.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah,
Yeah.
or not paying attention. But and then yeah. So there you go. That can be like a nice little episode on gender reveals and once again getting down into the rabbit hole of an existential crisis, which is where all this trans talk gets us. Yeah.
Every week, just another existential
Yeah.
thing going on. That's why Snailmate named their EP Existential Anxiety, because it's just always there.
It's perfect. Yeah, that makes total sense if you're talking to Moody Black, especially to be talking about an existential crisis.
Right.
It's funny because it's not. If you listen to our shit, to music stuff in our work, like we've been talking about this for a long time. Like a lot of the stuff that I've written about and we've talked about, I thought was happening then or was going to happen soon, but it ended up happening a lot later. And so now it's cool. It's just weird and kind of eerie to see all the stuff we had kind of mentioned. But again, I had a tip off. This is totally going off of our podcast topic, but like I said, the whole Moody Black thing is built on a lot of the stuff that I did with this Indian dude in the desert. And we talked to him about all these fucking things that are happening now. And it blows my mind every time. Cause like, I don't know. It's like, it's weird to talk about to people. Cause unless I'm not even like that super spiritual, but unless you really understand it, it's hard to explain. Like when you've been tipped off and you have conversations about what's going to happen in the future and those things happen, it's a little, it's weird as fuck. I don't know if you've ever had experiences like that, but
yeah, I've had some weird shit, but yeah, it's strange. Like, yeah, it's weird because it's like, does time travel exist or like what? Like,
yeah,
what's going on?
And
It's
therefore,
really strange.
ergo. Is that how you say that?
What is it?
Fuck, I don't know. Remember that? What was it? On All That, Pierre Escargot with Keenan Thompson. Horrible. Keenan Thompson is so bad. I know, you're mad. Hot button issue to say Keenan is overrated and always laughing and a one-note character. We hope we see you next week here on the Transdemic podcast, where we will have a guest. And this guest may be from New Zealand or somewhere else in the States. Literally, I don't know. We'll see what guests we have next week on the Transdemic. Stay with us. Stay safe. Please stay safe out there, you trans motherfuckers.